All right, so this is sort of a half-ass review of the Masterpiece Arms ds9, which is a double stack 1911. Now, all my background is really around just the pleasure of shooting and just my natural competitive nature, trying to do better than myself. And I saw this at the local gun shop that I go to, and it's the first time I've really seen a double stacked 1911 that I've actually been interested in getting my hands on. Of course, there are a lot of other really high-end 2011s on the market, like Hayes Custom or Atlas Gunworks. Those will usually set you back around $5,000 to upwards of even $8,000, which is a little bit more than I'm willing to spend. And this is a very, very new gun. So when I purchased it, I usually do a ton of research, and this one didn't have that opportunity to do all that research. So I just thought I would give you my thoughts on it and my first impressions. Now, keep in mind, I've only put 100 rounds through it. And then I did have some other people shooting at the same time, so it has a few more than 100, but the ones I shot were 100 rounds. This is Masterpiece Arms has been around for a while. My understanding is they make some chassis for like rifles and stuff like that for long range shooting. But this is their first sort of entrance into the 2011 world. They do sell some pistols as well. It's not their first pistol that they've made. So my first impressions when I just picked it up in the store are the fit, as far as like the slide to frame, are really, really impressive. The only gun that I have in my lineup that I would really compare to this would be a CZ TSO, which I am definitely a bit of a fangirl when it comes to the CZ TSO, or most CZ products in general, to be honest with you. And the fit, as far as the frame and the slide are concerned, this is a tighter fit than that CZ is, which is quite impressive to me. The accuracy seems to be on par, which I didn't really think there were very many guns that could match that TSO. Obviously, I can't get quite the same distances, just because a red dot is a massive help when it comes to long range shooting. So that hollow sun optic really gives this the advantage as far as like taking it out into 15, 20, 25 yards, which is the max distance I really shoot at. But as far as the 10-yard mark, the 15-yard mark, this is going to keep up even with the iron sights. And then it's past that point where my old eyes need the help of a red dot. Now, the things that sort of irk me about this, so this pistol MSRP is $3,000. In the world of 2011s, that's not a ton of money, to be honest with you. Like I said, a lot of these sort of custom 2011s will go for $5,000 as sort of a baseline, all the way up to $8,000, depending on how crazy you get and what sort of options you put on it. Now, this one isn't like optioned out from Masterpiece Arms. It's just something that they don't really have as much customizing going on as like Atlas Gunworks or Hayes Custom would. But this is still in that same vein of firearm. Also the trigger on this is quite impressive. Like most 1911s, they have pretty outstanding triggers. The reset is phenomenal, much better than the TSO. The break is a little bit more predictable than the TSO. There are times when I pull the trigger on this and I feel like I've pulled my shot pretty significantly. And I haven't actually done so because it sort of makes up for those mistakes I'm making. Whereas the TSO, even though a phenomenal gun, phenomenal pistol, is not making up for my lack of skill, essentially, whereas this one was able to do so. Now, initially when I started messing around with this, my groupings were really tight, but they were low, and they were a little to the the left, which is a pretty common pull, but it was actually the sights themselves, and they wouldn't adjust. I kept on adjusting it, and this is actually so tight within this little area here that when I was adjusting this top piece to get better elevation on this, so I can actually hit the target I'm aiming for. The groupings were nice, but I actually wanted to be on target. So I had to actually push this up and sort of wiggle it around. And you can see that it still doesn't pop up. You sort of have to push it up. I'm not sure if you can really make that out. And you can also see that the finish is already wearing off there. And you can see that the finish on the safety here, only on the right side of the gun. Over here, it's totally fine. So I think this actually came from the factory with some sort of part they had already used and they forgot to refinish it, would be my guess. This is, keep in mind, they are very, very new. There's a reason why you can't really find much about them, period. This is, I think this is around their 310th pistol that they put out. So not very many out there on the market right now as far as that's concerned. So I know they're probably working out some kinks, but when you pay $3,000, there are definitely a few things on this that definitely bother me. I mean, I wouldn't expect that on a $400 gun, a $250 gun, let alone a $3,000 gun. That's pretty unacceptable. The gun shop that I deal with did give me a better deal than the $3,000 price because of that. And I'm relatively happy with that. The sights definitely bothered me and sort of put us off on a bad foot as far as the ds9 and my opinion of Masterpiece arms. Now it comes with a 17 round magazine, and it also comes with a 20 round magazine. And then you can order more from their website. I think they're $75, which is sort of pretty standard, if not a little on the cheap side as far as like 2011 magazines go. Unfortunately, everything revolving around a 2011 is just quite expensive, honestly. Now, what really, really impressed me about shooting this is just how light it is. Even the TSO feels heavy hitting as far as like the recoil. This one just is on rails, and it's such a tight fit. There's no, you know how you can get some up and down wiggle or some side to side. There's just none of that going on with this pistol. Whereas there is the littlest bit of wiggle with this. And this is just fit a hair tighter than that, which was pretty impressive. So the things that bother me about this gun are right back here. This sort of bumps up like so, and I like to ride that as pretty aggressively as far as my shooting style personally. And my hand after about only 100 shots was really red and inflamed. It's recovered. It's not like crazy bad to the point where it's gonna stay that way. But you know, only after shooting 100 rounds, it was to the point where this portion of my hand was pretty uncomfortable. I don't know if it's just because, you know, 2011 guys like an uncomfortable grip, but it's not even like this is uncomfortable, because this is aluminum, by the way, which is pretty nice for $3,000. You'll see staccatos will usually have a plastic lower. I think, don't quote me, I think Triarch also has a polymer lower. I usually just call them plastic, to be honest. I mean, that's what they are. I know they put some fancy term behind it, and it's definitely stronger than the majority of plastics on the market. But polymer is definitely still just plastic. So I do appreciate that this is aluminum. I didn't want to spend $3,000 and then have a plastic here. There are some advantages to plastic in the handle. You're going to get a little bit less felt recoil, just because plastic isn't going to transfer that energy as aggressively into your hand. But this shoots incredibly light. The felt recoil is really low, honestly. Even compared to the TSO, you know, this is feels significantly less than this, and this shoots really light anyway. So back to what I don't like. So this just digs into you like crazy when you're riding on that. And then it makes you alter your grip in such a way that it's gonna, if you're actually shooting in competition, I think it would bother you to the point where it'd throw you off a little bit. The first 50 rounds you're fine. 75 you're starting to hurt. 100 you're definitely hurting. Now maybe I'm just got one that wasn't filed down quite correctly, because I do know someone else who owns one. And talked to him about it. He hasn't experienced any of those same issues as far as this causing any sort of irritation. And it's on both sides. Both sides really, really cut into my hand as I'm holding it. And the more aggressive you hold, the more aggressively it's going to cut into you. This has a pretty nice little bit of grip there. So if you want to get some extra leverage on the gun, you can do so. The trigger is quoted at 2 pounds. Now it will take some time for it to actually get that way. They say from the factory it'll probably be about 2.5 to almost 3 pounds from the factory. And I would say this one is right about 2.7, 2.8 pounds, somewhere around there. So a little bit heavier than the TSO at this point, although this has the more distinctive break point. So it's a little bit easier as far as that's concerned. The distinctive break point and wall of the trigger is probably more important than how light it is, and this is better than the TSO, although it's more expensive than the TSO, so I would hope in some aspects it is better. Now the inside, and I know you won't be able to really see the inside of this. This is a nice aluminum, a massive funnel to get your rounds in there. Now the problem is inside of here is lined with some sort of almost rubberized sort of finish in there. It feels almost like it just seems to get caught once you're actually in there, or you'll go in and it'll get caught on something in there. I don't know what it is. I don't run into that problem at all with this. With the CZ, I've never run into that problem on my Shadow 2, which didn't even have the Magwell on it. And this one really seems to get caught up as you're entering. So it's actually pretty picky about how you put it, funnel it in there. And the base plate on these mags is a pretty low, cheap feeling plastic, if I'm honest. They seem to function fine. I've had no problems, but they haven't been dropped in the dirt. There's nothing I've done that this mag should have any problems, so I would pray that's the case. The Tactical Sport Orange, or TSO, has aluminum base plates, which I definitely prefer that aluminum base plate. It just feels a little higher quality. Also, the TSO comes with 3 magazines, all that hold 20 rounds. This one, like I said, comes with a 17 and then 120. So you get 2 mags. What else do I want to say about it? So the groupings really are quite impressive. Like I said, I didn't expect to get the accuracy of the Tactical Sport Orange by CZ. I've never handled a gun, and I've shot a decent number of like competition enthusiast pistols, and I've never shot anything that I can shoot like I can with that TSO. Now everyone has a preference, and every gun's going to perform a little bit different, and in your hands versus mine. But that, to me, the TSO is the epitome of accuracy. It's a little bit on the heavy side, and with the optic mounted on it, it's a bit forward heavy, more so than I would like. I'd prefer it to be more balanced, even though I know the weight towards the front is going to help with muzzle rise, obviously. But it doesn't have much of a problem with that. Now, this one here has less felt recoil and is really impressive as far as how smooth this slide operates. Like, it's much smoother than the CZ is. I think they probably accomplished that by probably a lighter spring in here and just some really impressive smooth surfaces, and the fit and finish as far as the slide is very impressive. The finish on the gun, I think, will wear off really rapidly, whether it's here, or any part of it. I just think that it's gonna wear and tear quite quickly. And I think they have some work to do as far as that's concerned, which is sort of disappointing, but not the end of the world. The biggest thing to me is really just right in here, is just not friendly to an aggressive high stance, really pressing your hand up into there to get the right leverage on the gun. It just eats you alive. So I'll probably have to, honestly, when I shoot with this, and I plan to shoot it, quite a few rounds through it, I'm probably going to line the inside here with some sort of tape, just to provide some relief from this cutting into me and digging into my skin. Now, like I said, this could be this specific one, and I got a little unlucky. You can see that it has other factory defects. And like I said, the top here was like locked into place, wouldn't adjust, so I had to wiggle and get it to do what it needs to do, which is also very aggravating. The balance of this is really impressive, and it's also, I would say, feels a little bit lighter in the hand than the TSO. So if you're doing something that involves, like a steel challenge match, or like a 3-gun match, you're doing a lot of running around, you're probably going to prefer this to this because the accuracy is there. This has less felt recoil and it's lighter, so quicker to maneuver, and change from target to target. That's about everything I got. I appreciate you all taking the time to watch the video. I hope some of that helped you out and helps you sort of make a decision as far as if this is something you want to invest in or purchase or treat yourself to. My score for this gun, I haven't quite decided yet, would be about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. The CZ Tactical Sport Orange would be a 9 out of 10. Now, I am holding this to higher standards due to the fact that it's a more expensive gun. So do keep that in mind. If they were the same price, I would probably rank them the same. So this is, the price tag is working against this. And also another place where the fit and finish is off, and you probably won't see it, is this bulges out just a little way and like overlaps this funnel here, which I don't like. I think that's sort of a little bit of a fail as far as, attention to detail. But overall, I would say I'm satisfied with the purchase and feel like it's worthwhile. If you want to get a 2011 that has a smooth, a phenomenal trigger and an ultra smooth operation, and you're willing to put up with that biting into your hand potentially, I would say pull the trigger. But that's everything. Thanks for tuning in.